There are moments where you can feel a line being drawn, not out loud, not officially, just one of those moments where you realize someone is about to be treated like they don't belong, and nobody's going to say anything. Those moments don't announce themselves. They give you a second, just enough time to decide whether you're going to walk away or live with thinking about it later. I walked into a pilot late one night. Neighborhood wasn't that great. Right away, I could tell it wasn't a good one. You know that feeling. The air's tight. People aren't relaxed. Everyone's just moving through instead of settling in. There was a rent-a-cop pacing around, not really helping anyone, just walking slow, scanning, making sure people noticed the uniform. And then I saw him, a homeless man, standing near the food area. Not loud, not panhandling, not bothering anyone, just standing there. You can tell when somebody's hungry. It's not always how they look, it's how they wait, watching the counter, not wanting to be noticed, but not knowing where else to go. I noticed him, and then I noticed the officer noticed him as well. The officer walked up and started talking to him, not yelling, not cursing, but the tone changed. That "you don't belong here" tone. Telling him he couldn't stand there if he wasn't buying anything. The homeless man didn't argue, didn't get defensive. He just nodded a little, like he already knew how this part went. I stood there watching for a second. That hesitation moment, the one where your brain starts offering excuses. Not my business. He's just doing his job. I don't want any trouble. And honestly, for a second, I almost listened to that voice. But then, I thought about how this might sit with me later. How I'd replay it in my head. And I knew if I walked away, it wouldn't feel neutral. It would feel heavy, so I stepped in. Not fast, not aggressive. I just put myself between them and said, "Hey." I said, "I'm about to eat." The officer looked annoyed, like I'd interrupted something he wasn't finished with. He said, "That's fine. He can't stay here." I paused, not dramatic, just enough to make sure I was choosing this. Then I said, "He's eating with me." The officer smirked and said, "You can't do that." I looked at him and said, calm as could be, "Explain that to me." He didn't. He just repeated himself. That's when I knew this wasn't policy. This was ego. I said, "I'm paying. I'm sitting down, and he's sitting with me. No law says I can't eat with another person." The officer shifted, not confident anymore, because bullies rely on people backing down, not people asking them to justify themselves. The homeless man was still standing there, not moving, and that hesitation from him hit me harder than anything, because it told me how often kindness comes with conditions. So I turned to him and said, "You're good, come on." He hesitated at first, but then he followed. We sat down. We ordered food. Not scraps, not leftovers, a real meal. And you could see it in his posture. The moment he realized this wasn't getting pulled away. For a while, he wasn't the homeless guy. He was just a man sitting at a table. We talked a while we ate. Nothing dramatic, Just normal conversation. Where he'd been, how long he'd been out there, how things unraveled a little at a time. And then, almost like it wasn't important enough to lead with, he mentioned he was a veteran. Just said it casually, like it was old information. While we were sitting there, something else hit me. I realized how quickly I stepped in for him, compared to how slow I am to step in for myself. And that felt strange when I noticed it. Because if I'm being honest, I don't usually do that for me. I don't push back, I don't make scenes, I don't insist. I let things slide. I tell myself it's not worth it. I carry it quietly and move on. But when it comes to other people, especially when someone's being treated like they don't matter, something in me reacts faster. Not anger, responsibility. It's like I can accept a lot for myself, but I struggle watching someone else be pushed aside. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's easier to show up for others than to believe you deserve the same effort. Or maybe helping someone else feels safer than standing up for yourself. I just know that sitting there with him, that difference was impossible to ignore. That's when something in me tightened, because now the picture was clearer. This wasn't someone who never contributed. This was someone who had, and life didn't keep its promises afterward. And watching an officer push him around over a sandwich, that bothered me, still does. I didn't say anything else to the officer, didn't need to. We finished eating. Nobody bothered us. The officer stayed where he was, didn't apologize, didn't escalate, and that told me everything. When we stood up, I said, "Let's walk out together." Not because I had to, because I didn't want him getting hassled the second I left. Just two people leaving a place together. Outside, I wished him well. That was it. No promises, no speeches. He said thank you, and I believed him. I didn't save anyone that night. I didn't fix the system. I didn't change the world. I just refused to let a man, a veteran, be treated like he didn't belong over a plate of food. And sometimes, that's enough. Kindness doesn't need permission, and dignity doesn't require a receipt. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't loud. It's just inconvenient enough that most people won't do it. I've thought about that night a lot since, not because of the officer, but because of how close I came to walking away, and how heavy that would have felt later on if I had. If you ever find yourself in one of those moments where someone's being pushed aside quietly, and you feel that hesitation, that's not weakness. That's your conscience checking in. You don't have to change the world. Sometimes all you have to do is sit down anyway.